In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a mini cheer bow keychain. My materials are 14 inches of 1.5 inch base ribbon, 2 pieces of iron-on fabric strips, a keychain, a zip tie, and my basics are scissors, iron, and glue. The fabric strips that I'm using are made for a full-size bow, so I'm going to fold them and cut them in half so that I can use them on the mini bow. These strips are easy to work with because they already have the heat and bond adhesive adhered to the back, so all you'll need to do is peel the paper off and iron them onto your ribbon. I'm going to put one style on one side of the ribbon and one style on the other. I'm using 14 inches of 1.5 inch base grosgrain ribbon. To put the fabric strip on, peel the paper off the back and iron it onto one side of your pre-cut ribbon. Whenever you iron fabric onto your ribbon, make sure that you use some type of pressing sheet in between your iron and your fabric. The pressing sheet that I'm using here is called a splat mat, and we have them available for sale on hairhardware.com. Once you iron one side, flip your ribbon around and then iron your other fabric strip to the other side. This is metallic fabric, but it still has the same heat and bond material already adhered to the back. Peel the paper off and iron it on the same way that you did the first side. And again, you need a pressing sheet. When you press your iron down, be sure to press it straight down and hold it in place for about 10 seconds. If you slide the iron back and forth, you run the risk of your fabric strip moving. For this bow, I'm going to use a plastic template sheet that I've cut to 3.5 inches wide. I'm using this so that the bow will stay perfectly proportional, and if you make lots of bows, if you're making them for a team, they'll all look identically shaped and sized. All you have to do is wrap the ribbon around your template material, make sure that the back is centered, and then you can slide your template out. After you slide it out, be sure to move that piece of base ribbon to the back so that you can't see it anymore. Now you're going to work the center back and forth to crease it. Fold it back and forth about 3 or 4 times. When you're satisfied with your center, put the keychain onto the zip tie before you put it around your bow, and then put the zip tie around the center. Make sure you hold that center real tight so you don't lose your crease, and then close the zip tie about halfway. That way you can still make some adjustments before the zip tie is completely pulled tight. You're going to want to look to make sure that your loops are even, that your tails are even, and that they're angled the way that you want them to be. Make sure that your keychain and the extra piece from the zip tie is on the back of the bow. If you make any mistakes, just clip the zip tie off and start over again. Once you're happy with how it looks, pull the zip tie as tight as you can. Now you can clip the extra piece of the zip tie off, and we can get ready to cut the tails. To cut the tails, you're going to fold the ribbon in half, and then you're going to cut on an angle, and when you open it up, you'll see that you have the fishtail ends. For the center, I'm going to use a small piece of the same metallic fabric I used for half of the bow. I'm cutting it to about 1/4 inch wide. Now this does have the heat and bond material on the back with the paper, so before I put it around the center like this, I'm going to peel that paper off before I glue it. I'm not going to iron it though, I'm going to use a glue gun. Put a little bit of glue right in the center of your bow, and then glue just that center down. Now you can wrap the two sides around to the back and glue them down. I usually try to cover up the little piece of the zip tie that sticks out in the back. I try to cover that up with a extra piece of whatever you're using for the center. It gives it a nice finished look that way. If you have any extra, if you've cut the piece a little too long for the center, just trim off any extra piece of ribbon or fabric. Now the keychain is just about done. What I like to do though is on the cut ends of the ribbon that are exposed on the tails, I like to run a wood burner over them to make sure that they don't fray. The heat and bond material that was on the back of the fabric prevents a lot of that in and of itself, but if you run the wood burner just very lightly across the ends, it will completely seal it, and then you don't have to worry about it fraying. All of the materials that I used to make this bow are available at hair-hardware.com or our sister site, cheerbowsupply.com.